We've been through a lot over the last 77 weeks of this pandemic. It required constant adaptation caused by the chaos of COVID. This included keeping kids safe, keeping up with schoolwork, shielding them from the anxiety around us all, and helping kids continue on their path of social and emotional development.
We've all lost time. Our kids have lost time. Think about this. An incoming second grader attended only 5 of the last 77 weeks of school. A senior in high school didn't have a senior year. Our Youth of the Year, Virginia, for 2020 attended her freshman year at Georgetown University from her bedroom in Corvallis. While this happened, the club boldly stepped in and helped manage the chaos to support the children of emergency and essential workers without hesitation. This year, we're celebrating what we've accomplished together as a community as we come through the pandemic, but we still have work to do. The work of supporting families as we all reconnect and re-engage in our new and uncertain world.
This video that you're about to watch starts with the pandemic and moves through the last 18 months. The long-term effects of the pandemic remain uncertain, but its immediate and ongoing impact on our children and families have certainly been devastating. In addition, the social and civil unrest of the past 18 months have created unprecedented challenges and opportunities for today's youth.
Today, we need to prepare for the future, and you have an important role to play. We need your support. Together, we'll partner with Corvallis School District to help children re-engage their skills of learning, help teens catch up, reconnect, and build their great futures. Today is about celebrating resiliency and investing in our future in a very tangible way, and that's through your financial contribution.
As we move forward this fall and into 2022, we're taking our learnings, integrating our innovation, and building programs and services to meet our youth and the teens where they are now. Thank you for sticking with us. While you all have taught me about the power of giving over my tenure at the club, I hope you will check out the piggy bank story on our website, and you are as inspired as I was by a 4-year-old's generosity.
So thank you for moving forward with us. Your financial support is what keeps the doors open at the Boys and Girls Club. So please join me in giving today and go to our website at bgccorvallis.org/give. Enjoy the program.
At the beginning of this, that's what we sort of thought it was going to be. It's just, this will just be gone for a couple weeks, and then this whole COVID thing will blow over. And that proved pretty quickly to be something that was not likely to be true. And so the governor and the Oregon Department of Education immediately sent some directives out to school districts to start talking about childcare services for families, specifically of first responders. All these folks that were vital at the beginning of the pandemic to just keep our hospitals open as they were starting to get flooded when we were trying to flatten the curve. And we knew having our workforce mostly out and having a lot of other things we had to do to think about education supports, we needed help. And so the partnership we've had with the Boys and Girls Club for many years was a place we went to immediately.
You know, what do you do and how do you respond to a pandemic? You know, and so serving on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, we closed down on March 15th. Within 2 weeks after that, I have a call from Helen. We want to be open to serve first responders and serve families. And, you know, and we need the board to approve this, or, you know, and I was blown away because nobody was saying, how can we do this? You know, I mean, everything just shut down. The Boys and Girls Club is saying, how can we do this? What can we do to help our community? What can we do to help the first responders? First, it just started off with the first responders. You know, that meant that the Boys and Girls Club leadership had to look at their team and go, you know, what's your exposure? And recognize what they're going through, the fear that they're going through. This is scary, this is awful, you know. They have families, so there's just a lot of people to take care of in this. But the focus of the Boys and Girls Club was to support families, to support kids, so their mom and dads could go to work, so they could go take care of us.
Once schools were closed, prior to the announcement they would be closed for the rest of the year, and prior to us knowing exactly what was going to happen, we began planning in a proactive fashion about what we could do. So we weren't exactly sure what would happen, but we kind of knew what we could do. So we could provide care all day if that's what was necessary. We had the staff to do it, we have the space to do it, we have the ability to do it, we have the knowledge to do it. So we began proactively planning that. We talked with the board, we talked with the lawyer, and we were ready when the announcements came out that school really wasn't going to happen again. So Governor Brown actually made her announcement on April 8th that that was going to be the case. We opened our building on April 1st in anticipation of that being the case.
Got the call from Helen Clay, hey, we need you to come in, here's the plan. And then we all got together and just made up this whole new structure, kind of did a complete 180 from our after-school care to now doing full-time care, and just really tried to create a program that was based off of safety first.
So when the pandemic started and we had to decide what we were going to do for our emergency childcare program, we really had no idea where to start. We knew that we had to cohort and we knew we had to keep kids safe. And with that, we had to create our own protocols on how we were going to do so. So some of the things we did was we laid down color tape to guide students from the front doors to their classrooms. We created virtual videos that went up on our Facebook pages to show our families and the community members of our safety protocols and what we were doing to keep our families safe. So one of the things we did was we posted a video of how you hand wash outside the front of the club and then you walk into the building and follow your colored tape to your classroom. This was to ensure confidence from our community members that we were keeping families safe and we were doing what was necessary during this time.
So our daughter started coming to the Boys and Girls Club in 2020 after the board had already made a decision to bring on first responders. There was space available for other community members to start bringing their children to the club to take advantage of online learning at the Boys and Girls Club through their current school, and we decided to sign ISA up at the beginning of that.
My greatest superhero skill is that I fit and I plug holes and I help. And that's kind of, we had something new to try and we needed bodies and said, let's find somebody. What can we do? And so when word went out, anyone wants to help, or if you don't want to help, we understand either way. And I'm like, yeah, why not? I can do this. What do you need?
During the shutdown, when only 4 staff were in the building, my responsibility was to run our fundraising department, as my partner has small children at home and it was too risky for her to come in. I had to work closely with the finance department to keep our income going.
We at the Joe Beaver Show saw that there was a great need, that the Boys and Girls Club was in a different kind of phase than usual. Instead of kind of being available for all the kids after school, they needed to be available for emergency workers and essential workers during school hours, with school being at home and the Zoom world, and a place for kids and families and essential workers. And that was an important message for me to hear and read, and so we were delighted to have Helen on and talk to her about that and let her get the message out. I think they were doing about 5 students at that time, and not long thereafter we're up to 95. I'm not even sure what the final number was, but anyway, that we could be involved in helping to share the important message of the work being done here.
We had just transitioned from our normal operations, and so looking for funding for that was different. The amount of funding we suddenly needed was different. The budget we were operating on was different. So it was just this huge transitional stage, and trying to see who was out there and what we could bring in. And thankfully there was a lot of people who were willing to step up and help fund organizations like this and looking to make a good impact.
The conversation about the employee retention credit happened during a board meeting, and I was in my office and Helen announces that she's filed the application for the PPP forgiveness. And I quickly typed, stop that application. What the purpose of the employee retention credit was to reward employers who actually retained their employees and paid them during the COVID period, and it's for both 2020 and 2021.
When it became clear that there was going to be a major child care emergency, major shortage of opportunities for parents to get their kids into a positive and caring place to take the place of the schools, it was very important for us to make investments into organizations who we knew were both going to, take care of both their physical needs, but also their emotional and educational needs. And really, the Boys and Girls Club was one of our first partners to step forward, really courageously step forward to take on that role.
When Helen and I discussed the ideas coming out of the Boys and Girls Club, it was very easy to support their effort because they're a trusted community partner. And when they said that they were going to pivot over into this additional service area during the pandemic, it was very easy to know that not only would they succeed in that effort, but we could trust that if they had to make changes or if they needed to adjust the program that they were talking to me about on the phone, and that was going to happen.
Boys and Girls Club recently had a panel, and we all went over on Zoom. They chose a couple people who go here to talk about their experiences with racism in Oregon.
Shout out to the Boys and Girls Club for inviting me to that panel thing. It really meant a lot to me because I got to finally tell about my story and and my experiences with racism and how it affected me, and also it also helped me open my eyes up to that people are having similar experiences, or they're having their own experiences, and so it helped me understanding that I'm not alone, and there's other people that are experiencing what I'm experiencing.
Face coverings were the first kind of bit of implementation of personal protection. What we didn't anticipate early on from a safety committee perspective and just from a positive youth development perspective is what are the barriers to a kid wearing a face covering for 8-10 hours a day at the club? One of those is just, it's very difficult to convey care and safety and connection when you can only see half your face, So our staff had to be very creative about expressing care, expressing safety, expressing a smile. How do you smile without your mouth, right? The other piece was access, and so very quickly the club needed to respond, and the community needed to respond. The Corvallis Sewing Brigade, was gracious to gift the club with a large assortment of face coverings, so that no kid needed to be turned away because of the face covering requirement.
It's been very crazy, I feel, to say the least. With the whole school, not being able to experience my senior year of high school really, and then kind of being thrown into the Youth of the Year thing, and suddenly not being able to actually go to any of the competitions in person. That was definitely something that was hard to adjust to. And then having to start my first year of college online, definitely not ideal. I guess kind of the same with Youth of the Year, kind of took away from the experience, because I was really looking forward to being on campus and living on my own for the first time, having that independence.
In the beginning, we saw a lot of kiddos that were still kind of questioning the virus, kind of questioning their safety, had a lot of questions, and so we did a lot of emotional check-ins with the kids just to make sure that everybody was kind of on the same page. We were providing an open forum for them to be able to talk about what they were fearful of, what they were thinking, anything went really. And then as the kids became more comfortable in the environment and they kept coming to us and everything, and it was a more stable group, we noticed that our kids were really, really well adjusted because they were coming here to socialize. They had a group of kiddos that were friends, and it wasn't just the four walls of their house, for example. They were able to kind of socialize with a group of kids. And then as summer kind of came around and we got a new group of kiddos that hadn't necessarily been with us the entire time and hadn't been socialized and were at home or in pods or whatever their families had chosen, we saw some significant behavioral escalations and some backward steps in terms of their development too. To where they were displaying things like they were using the bathroom or they were having accidents a lot more frequently, and everything is because they didn't have the practice that you would normally have in school or in preschool or what have you before going into elementary.
We were noticing that in the emergency child care program we were able to serve up to 6th grade, but we weren't really able to continue to reach that 7th and older population because we couldn't bring them into the building. So what Brandon and Cameron and myself, the idea that we came up with was holding a weekly summer get-together. And so we sent emails and texts and we contacted parents and basically said, hey, so Wednesday we're gonna do some water play, and if your teen wants to come and hang out with us, just have some fun for a couple of hours. So moving into September, because we wanted to have opportunities for our 7th through 12th grade groups, we opened up the Teen Center and we had a drop-in style program that ran from basically 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. We started to run our T3 program. We started running our coffee shop training program specifically for 9th graders since we had such a large 9th grade population showing up. And then we were able to run our retail program with all of our 8th graders, which was really cool. But what we started to notice was that there was almost an immediate mentorship that just started to form between our older teens, like our 10th and 11th graders, and with our 7th and 8th graders. So, and so we started seeing this kind of peer-to-peer behavior kind of shift, which we'd never really seen before because the youngest group we'd ever had in the Teen Center was 9th graders. So that was just very interesting to watch how these groups started to form, made up of these really different age groups that we just never combined before. Without COVID, we would not have done what we're doing right now. So this innovation would never have occurred.
I mean, the Boys and Girls Club as an organization, we're leaders in the community. And our boys and girls who come to the club are going to be our successors. They're the leaders in the making here. So we have to set an example to keep them safe, to keep us safe.
I got to work, pulled up the news, realized that we were being blocked out by smoke and ash, and then started doing air quality checks throughout the building to see that we were in a healthy, breathable level for the kids. So I spent the next 2 weeks every day wetting towels, stuffing them in the bases of door frames so ash and smoke couldn't come into the building. I was cleaning and replacing air filters in all of our HVAC units that were sucking in all the ash. We were running secondary fans. We were running the fans as much as possible. We switched to a medical grade air filter just so that we could make sure that the kids were breathing clean air when it was hard to get clean air anywhere.
During a normal school year, we do our family nights in person, but this year we just kind of all came together as a management team collectively and decided to do our family nights virtual. My experience with this was very different from an in-person family night, just because I associate Zoom and virtual connections like that with like school. And even though this was school, just having a virtual family night and seeing how many parents came was really surprising to see how many would actually join and participate in a virtual family night, but I was really happy to see how many parents came.
So we came up with our program to have kits with all materials and activities included, and they had art activities, STEM activities, and they would come each Friday and pick it up at our schools or at the Boys and Girls Club and pick those up every week and be able to do activities throughout the weekend and the week for something to do that's outside of school, virtual and online, and have the ability to have that interaction with their families and their siblings. And we also had an online platform. They got to share pictures and interact and have a positive interaction among their peers without it being just school.
Well, I thought it was really incredible that they were able to support the families of the school district during that time. We met Cameron at Wilson School, and she said, "Do you want to be part of the Wildcat Club?" And we said, "Sure." And so she met us every week with this huge activities bag of things to do, and it just helped complete the school year. It was wonderful.
Laura Orth from the club told me about this program, Adopt a Family for Christmas. And for me, Christmas is a very special time. I have a 4-year-old and a 21-year-old. And as a parent, we do all we can to try and have these special moments. I mean, obviously you do it throughout the year, but Christmas is a special time. And so just knowing the joy that my children have to be able to help a parent who I know loves and cares about their child but may be struggling, to be able to help them provide that for their child, it was just something that just made sense and it felt good, and I really wanted to do it, not only for the child but for the family.
I got a frantic cell phone call from Helen saying, "Please get to the kitchen. There is water pouring out of the ceiling. I need help." And while dressed for work, very much dressed for work, I found Helen and myself spooning water via a broom into the nearest drain as the sprinkler head had gone off due to steam from the oven below it. And we were frantically trying to keep the sprinkler head from flooding our entire kitchen area into the gyms. So while doing that, I was given a shop vac and instructions to find any puddle and remove it.
You know, I would just simply say that, you know, to all of you that are here at this annual event, so many of you have been so generous through the ages in providing the operating funds to keep all of these essential services going. And we appreciate that. I appreciate it. Everybody here appreciates it. If you're a first-timer at the breakfast, attending this virtually for the first time through an invitation from a coworker or a friend, I strongly encourage you to do what you can during this time to help what goes on at the Corvallis Boys and Girls Club continue, because this is as important of a place as there is in our entire and wonderful community that we're blessed to be a part of. And if you can help continue to support this, I know that Helen and the staff and yours truly and Oregon State University, all the student athletes involved in all of this, would be grateful for you joining up and making a contribution today.